What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, it's about that time. Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson, good fight coming up this weekend, and I want to give my prediction. Before I get into that, I just had this random Ego fun fact, little tidbit, and TMZ Sports caught up with Danny Garcia. They were talking to him, and they said, "Name something embarrassing about yourself." And I didn't know this at all. I had no idea, so I thought it was good enough, like share worthy, because it was fucking creepy. But apparently, I think on his right foot, I guess he has six toes instead of the standard five. Some people are like, what do you mean? What's wrong with six toes? Motherfucker, you're supposed to have five. So apparently, he has some kind of mutation. He's an X-Men birth defect. I don't know what it is, but he has six toes on one of his feet, and I thought that was extremely weird. But shout out to Philly. And shout out to all the people with six toes. I'm not trying to offend anybody. It something I didn't know, and it was very weird. About my fight prediction, I'm rocking with Danny Garcia, Mr. Six Toe, and I think for one, I think it's a good fight. Some people, the biggest complaint I have about this fight is the catch weight. That's actually the only complaint that I really have. Stylistically, even at a catch weight, it is a good matchup. I just don't believe in this whole catch weight system and things like that. But from what I'm hearing, Lamont Peterson, if he were to lose on Saturday, the IBF or whatever is going to strip his belt. So, I mean, I guess even at a catchweight, it doesn't matter if that is in fact the case. I haven't done enough research to know 100% if that is true, but that is what I'm hearing. But either way, it is a good fight with two good fighters. Lamont Peterson certainly has the style that has given Danny Garcia some problems in the past. The reason I'm picking Danny Garcia, I'm going to say via unanimous decision. I could also even picture a late stoppage, but just knowing Lamont Peterson has heart, know his beginning, I'm going to say he stays out of trouble. Like I said, it could be a late stoppage, but I'll rock with the unanimous decision. And the reason I picked Danny Garcia to beat Lamont Peterson, I actually think he has a underrated defense as well. Some people don't give him enough credit for his defense, but Lamont Peterson, he's one of those types of fighters, especially like kind of like a Josecito Lopez with more technical abilities and slicker. And what I mean by that is he has the potential to box, but he also gets lured into brawls as well. So the thing with Danny Garcia is the people who have troubled him the most have been very athletic guys who are like let's say they excel in something, like let's say Zab Judah in the championship rounds. Zab Judah's a southpaw, he's extremely quick, and you know what I mean, has some pop, those kind of things. Or guys like Mauricio Herrera, who's just good technical boxers and just apply the straight pressure. When I look at Lamont Peterson, it's like he doesn't, I'm not going to say he doesn't have an identity, but I've seen him do both. And I don't think he can afford to do both in this particular fight. Like, he fought Lucas Matisse, and I think he got a little bit too comfortable, and he ended up getting dropped, and he never really fully recovered, and he ended up getting stopped in the third round. So against Danny Garcia, who I value as a good counterpuncher, he has probably the best left hook in the game, if not top three. I just think if Lamont Peterson does try to apply pressure kind of recklessly, then it's not going to be a good look. Like, Amir Khan, in my opinion, is not a good inside fighter. He's very good at range, outboxing, using his range, his reach, his arm length, and movement, and those kind of things. And that fight was acceptable for Amir Khan because, again, he's not strong on the inside. So Lamont Peterson had his moments. But against Danny Garcia, if he gets you with that left hook, I think it's just that's money. And a lot of people complain. They're like, oh, he closes his eyes when he throws it. It's boxing. Like, there is no complaints. There's no excuses. That's how I look at boxing. Who cares if he closes his eyes, if he has one eye open, if he pulls his six toes out? It don't matter. If you don't have a way to nullify and neutralize it, and he's successful with it, why would he stop? I mean, I would keep doing this shit too. If I'm sleeping everybody with that particular punch, then, you know what I mean? Why derive from that game plan? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what I always learned in boxing. So I just think overall, Danny Garcia, is a very strong fighter at 140. It's happening at a catch weight. I think he has most of the on paper advantages. He's bigger, he's more powerful, he's a very good counter puncher, and he's smarter than people give him credit for. I don't think Danny Garcia is this like club reckless brawler. I've seen hints of his own defense and just more boxing fundamentals and having a brain in there and like cutting off the ring. Danny Garcia is also a very good finisher. Now, again, I think this could be a very good fight, and Lamont Peterson could in fact test Danny Garcia and maybe even make him look bad in spots. But to beat Danny Garcia, the things that I've seen, like in my opinion, Mauricio Herrera beat Danny Garcia. But Mauricio Herrera, for one, has a hell of a chin. You know what I mean? I've seen him take Ruslan Provodnikov punches. I've talked to Mauricio. That's my dude. But he said Ruslan was the hardest hitter that he's fought and that he's faced. He's been in there with Danny Garcia. He's been in there with a prime, quote-unquote prime, Mike Alvarado when he was undefeated. He's been in there with Jose Benavidez recently, Danny Garcia. He's been in there with, like, killers, Kareem Mayfield. He's been in there with big punchers. So I can definitely attest to his chin because none of them dudes, whether they beat him or not, whether it was fair or not, he didn't get stopped by those guys. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. And I think Lamont Peterson, when it comes to the chin department, I don't think his chin can hold up to the same degree of a Mauricio Herrera because, I mean, that's what I've seen, you know what I mean? And in Mauricio Herrera fights, he's withstanding all these guys' best shots. Lamont Peterson has been dropped by Amir Khan. He got dropped, I think, multiple times by Victor Ortiz, even though he fought back to a draw. He got knocked out by Lucas Matisse. But the thing that gives Lamont Peterson a glimmer of hope is, although his chin is not the highest rating, it's not a 10 rating in the chin department, is he has heart. So if he does get dropped, if you don't like completely debilitate him, he's going to keep coming, he's going to keep trying. But ultimately, I think Lamont Peterson, he gets a little too hyped for his own good. Even like I've seen it in most of his fights, he has so much heart that it kind of works against him. So I could even picture him getting hurt and going out on his shield. That's why I say a late stoppage, just because I've seen him do it. Like Thierry Jean, he was winning the fight, then he started showboating a bit, and it was kind of scary. Kendall Holt, he kind of did the same thing. Amir Khan and Lucas Matisse, all of those fights, I see a pattern, and that pattern is him fighting a dangerous fight at times, even though he's a hell of a boxer. And I think ultimately, I don't know if his jab, I think he has a solid jab, but I don't think it's as used as Mauricio Herrera's jab. And I think that's one of the ways to frustrate Danny Garcia because it creates more of a puzzle. A jab for anybody is very problematic. If you have a good sharp jab, a strong jab, and you keep it out there, especially when you don't expect it. Another thing, the last thing I'll say is like when I look at like Danny Garcia versus Mauricio Herrera, Danny Garcia had every statistical advantage. It was in Puerto Rico. He had more power. Mauricio Herrera, I think, had just lost to Kareem Mayfield, so he's off of a loss. I really think no excuses because, like I said, Mauricio Herrera is my dude, and I give him credit, and I think Herrera beat him. But ultimately, I think Mauricio Herrera was overlooked and underestimated by Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia probably thought he was going to go in, and again, I'm not making excuses because Herrera won in my book, but I truly think that Danny Garcia may have overlooked him, like, oh, they're like, I'm coming home. And it was this whole homecoming Puerto Rico fight for the Boricua Danny Garcia. And I think he might have got caught up in the moment thinking like, oh, I'm going to blow this guy out of the water. I just beat Lucas Matisse. What the fuck is a Mauricio Herrera? And then he had difficulty. However, in this fight with Lamont Peterson, we've seen Lamont Peterson battle back. We've seen Lamont Peterson beat some pretty good guys like the Amir Khans. Whether you thought he won or not, he won on paper. We've seen him beat Kendall Holt, a guy that they have in common as an opponent. So Lamont Peterson fought back to a draw with Victor Ortiz. Pretty much the other things I said in this video. We've seen those things from Lamont Peterson, and I think in the boxing world in general, his resume, his pedigree is maybe more respected. So I don't really think Danny Garcia is going to overlook Lamont Peterson the way he may have overlooked Mauricio Herrera. And that's my honest opinion. So I think the bright lights of NBC and Premier Boxing Champs, knowing that this is most likely his exit out of the 140-pound division up to welterweight, I think Danny Garcia knows what's at stake, and he's going to show and prove and kind of go out with the bang. So I say a late stoppage or some kind of unanimous decision. But I expect Danny Garcia to look good. I expect Lamont Peterson to do what he always does, which is show heart, come out to fight, frustrate Danny Garcia at spots, but ultimately lose to a better fighter. So let me know what you guys think. Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson. Is my prediction accurate? Are you picking Lamont Peterson? Like I said, the one thing I will say is, for reading comments, a lot of people aren't giving Lamont Peterson any type of credit, and I don't think that's fair, because I think Lamont Peterson, he has a potential to pull an upset. But obviously, for the sake of prediction, I can't hedge my bet and go with both of them. But I think Lamont Peterson definitely deserves his credit. He's paid his dues, and I think it'll be a good fight. Ultimately, I think Danny Garcia beats him, though. I think he's just too big, too strong. He's more calculated. I don't think he's going to underestimate him. And that's pretty much a summary of what I said in this video. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Who wins, Danny Garcia and his 6 toes or Lamont Peterson? Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.